Timu Josh Allen. That's hilarious.
When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying. Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
Once again, we are on. He is the great Mike Steph. I am Mojo King, and this is Hidden Gems Football, brought to you by the 19 Media Group. How are you doing today, Mike Steph?
I'm doing all right. I just came off a weekend in which, in the immortal words of K Solo, no longer am I a fugitive. Those who know. Those who don't try to figure it out. But besides that, I'm feeling great. Ready to get back in the saddle again and give the people all the news and views that they can use for this week.
I think we should jump to something important, and that's Mike Steph's one big thing.
Yes. One big thing has made its triumphant return. Matter of fact, by the time of this viewing, hopefully 2 weeks in a row. Being the fact we're approaching week 12, and teams are jockeying for playoff positioning and wildcard positioning, I want to give a couple quick thoughts on the top 3 teams in each conference. Not particularly by record, but by who I believe has the best opportunity to make a long run in the playoffs. In the NFC, the Los Angeles Rams would be number 1. I believe they're the best bet to get to the Super Bowl this year out the NFC. The defending champion Philadelphia Eagles would be number 2, based on the fact that they win. Yes, they win ugly, but they continue to win. But one of the injuries that just came over the wire, Lane Johnson is having a second opinion, but I think he's going to be on the IR with a Lisfranc injury. They're waiting for the swelling to go down to see the severity of his injury, but that will kind of put a cramp in at least their running program or their passing, which either that or A.J. Brown will continue to pout and shout and not get the ball out. So, in number 3, even though they're on the outside looking in, I am still a believer in the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are 6-4. They are 1 game behind the Chicago Bears, but do you really think Caleb Williams is gonna be able to lead his team to not a playoff berth, but the NFC North crown? That remains to be seen. So my top 3 teams in the NFC would be the Rams, the Eagles, and the Lions. Okay, which one of these teams don't belong here? Which one of these teams don't look the same? In the NFC, number 1 would be the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, I know you're probably like, hold on, you've been on the Seattle bandwagon. You've picked Seattle. You haven't picked against Seattle all year. Yes, Seattle has all the parts necessary: stifling defense, great skill players, emerging head coach, so forth. The only thing they're missing is a quarterback with big onions, and that's what Sam Darnold unfortunately does not have. And I can't truthfully pick Seattle to get out the NFC if they have a quarterback who does not show up. We have the kings of the castle currently on the outside looking in, which would be the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs sit at the record of 5-5. They are 3.5 games behind the Denver Broncos with a loss in Denver this past Sunday. And I don't know. Last couple of years, you've wanted to put dirt over them. You want to say that their dynastic run is over, and they keep on continuing to prove us wrong year in and year out. I believe the only way you can actually count them out is if they're not in the tournament. And looking at the teams in front of them, it's a big possibility that they're not going to be in the tournament because their conference record stands at a record of 2 wins, 4 losses. And they're 3.5 games back of the division. So that means their only rare avenue is the wild card. And looking at the wild card, Buffalo, Chargers, and Jacksonville, the only team I could see them perhaps catching is Jacksonville. And guess what? They lost against Jacksonville. So right now, they're really behind the 8 ball. Now, Indianapolis, even though they're 8-2, they got Daniel Jones, enough said. New England, 9-2 with the MVP candidate and second-year quarterback Drake May. You have an established head coach in Mike Vrabel. You have a defense that's good enough. You have a secondary that is stifling, and you have an emerging running game, even without Ramon Stevenson. So I think they have all the integral parts to make a strong run in the playoffs. Denver has the defense, but Denver has also had games in which they're on an 8-game winning streak, and I'm going to say at least 5 of those 8 games have come down to the wire. How long can that be continued? I don't know. So I'm going to rank my teams like this. Number 1 would be, unfortunately, as a Jets fan, it pains me to say this, the New England Patriots would be my number 1 team in the AFC. Number 2 would be Denver, just because that defense is stifling. And number 3, darn, Buffalo. Listen, Buffalo's 7-3. I'm not really messing with Buffalo. It took Josh Allen to score 6 touchdowns for them to actually overcome Tampa Bay at home. I ain't jacking them. So I really want to go to Chargers, but the Chargers offensive line is so depleted that I don't even know if Justin Herbert is going to make it throughout the season because he's getting hit so much. And as much as I have faith in Jim Harbaugh, without an offensive line, there's only so much they can do. So I guess by default, I'll go Indianapolis. But I already told you, I don't believe in Indianapolis as long as Daniel Jones is behind center. So it'll be New England, Denver, and Indy. Those are my top 3 for the AFC. And that is Mike Steph's one big thing. Yeah.
What's up? I'm Desmond, and I'm the host and creator of Hip to the Games, a podcast from 19 Media Group. From hot topics across the NBA, how can you say we done with the 80s or we done with the 90s? Yet that's who we learn from. To album reviews and song breakdowns and everything in between, I take immense pride in genuinely appreciating the brilliance of basketball and hip-hop's past and present. If you too love the game of basketball and the game of rap, that means you're hip to the games. But no matter where you fall on that spectrum, I'm sure you'll find your place in the H2DG family, and I encourage you to join the fun. He has a little more knuck if you buck, if you will. Every other Friday on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube, courtesy of the home team, 19 Media Group.
All right, let's move to Thursday night football. We have the 7-3 Buffalo Bills heading to Houston to face the 5-5 Texans. The projected total is 43.5 points, while the Buffalo Bills are 5.5-point favorites on the road. That means Vegas is telling us that the Bills will score 24.5, while the Texans score 19. As far as injuries, the receiving core for the Bills is getting a little banged up. We have Dalton Kincaid, their starting tight end. He did not play last week due to a pulled hamstring. He will be questionable for Thursday. Joshua Palmer and Curtis Samuel, both wide receivers, did not practice Monday. I believe Josh Palmer played through injury last week, so maybe he's pretty likely to go. I'm not quite sure about Curtis Samuel. And also, McCole Hardman recently signed, was doing some work on special teams. He pulled a calf muscle, and he will be questionable for Thursday. On Houston's side, quarterback CJ Stroud. He is still in concussion protocol. Davis Mills will start again. Tight end Dalton Schultz has a lingering shoulder injury. He should be fine. He's been playing through it. And late in the game, Nico Collins hurt his ankle. But again, I think he is likely to play. Mike, Steph, what do you think about this game, Bills, Texans?
Well, I'll start with the Bills first. The Bills beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past Sunday, 44-32 in Buffalo. Josh Allen was phenomenal in victory. He scored 6 touchdowns, 3 on the ground, and 3 through the air. Despite this victory, though, can we really count on them being a true Super Bowl contender? Like I said earlier, do you really believe that they're going to be able to finally get over the hump? 2 of their losses have been to terrible teams this season. A non-competitive loss against the Atlanta Falcons, who now sit at a record of 3-7. Okay, and then last week's debacle in Miami against the Dolphins. So 7-3 is kind of fugazi. Once again, it took 6 touchdowns from Josh Allen to beat Tampa Bay at home. If he scores 4 touchdowns, they lose that game. He has no skilled players whatsoever. That's like 100%. Switching over to the Texans avoided a humiliating loss themselves this past Sunday, beating the Tennessee Titans 16-13. With that victory, Houston had finally got to 500 for the year at a record of 5-5 for the first time this season. And they've won 3 of the last 4 games. Davis Mills filled in admirably for CJ Stroud and threw for 274 yards and a touchdown, including 9 passes to the aforementioned Nico Collins for 92 yards. So now down for the Bills are favored by 5.5 in a short week on the road. Part of me wants to go with the Bills because they should be riding high, but Houston, even though they've struggled this season, the one thing that hasn't struggled this season has been their defense. Their defense is pretty much the reason why they're 5-5 and not conversely 3-7. So, with that being said, I'm not saying that Houston's going to win, but I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think if they have any semblance of health on the offense, they might be able to put some points up or at least match Buffalo. So I'm going to say Houston plus the 5.5. The over-under, I am going to go under. I think this could be 2017, something to that effect.
Interesting thing about Davis Mills. I don't think he's been playing fabulous, but the one thing he is really doing is he is getting Nico Collins the ball, which for whatever reason wasn't happening quite enough when CJ Stroud was out there the weeks prior. So that is the one positive for Mills. Also, their running back, they've switched over. Nick Chubb is no longer their starter. Woody Marks, the rookie, is definitely getting more of the action. But they still don't have much of a ground attack because the line is the line. Doesn't matter who's running the ball. I just don't expect this team to score very much. I do expect Nico Collins to get a touchdown if he's healthy, though. But unfortunately, that might be the only score for Houston. I am taking the Bills minus the 5.5, and I'm still going under. I trust Houston's defense. I don't trust Houston's offense at all.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
When you start, once again, we're on. You know what just popped in my mind? Naughty by Nature. It's on. Do, 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 do. You remember that song? It's on by Naughty by Nature?
That's not where I got it from. I got it from Ice Cube.
Ah.
It's funny because now the samples are going in my head. It might be, you know what? It might be a Tupac song that sampled Ice Cube before Ice Cube's verse. I think that's what it is. I'm going to go look for it after this. All right.